It's day 5 of the SEC Championships in Auburn, Alabama. Brad Muller joined by South Carolina head coach McGee, Moody, and an exhausting week, but this is where it continues to get fun, and you've got one of the big events, the mile event, and I know you're without some of your traditional top milers, but for good reason at the SEC Championships.
Yeah, this year our two top milers this year, Rafa DeVilla on the men's side and Kate Sanderson on the women's side, they're both taking an Olympic red shirt this year. And what that does is it allows them to focus their training on the Olympics in August for Tokyo without having to kind of negotiate classes, and it doesn't get in the way with the NCAA. It doesn't set them back with eligibility or anything like that. And so it's a benefit that they took advantage of. They're not the first one that we've had do this, but it does set them up well for Tokyo. So one, we're excited to get them back next year, but at the same time, we've got a couple of milers that are going to be stepping into that role here that we're excited to see. We have Haley Arner is going to be swimming it for the women, and Haley, it's kind of a stretch for her going up to that mile. Her wheelhouse is kind of the 200 and the 500, but she's getting out of her comfort zone, and she'll tell you flat out she's doing it for the team, which I think is a great thing. It's what we preach to our athletes, and she wants to contribute, and so in this, she said, if I'm needed in the mile, that's what I'm going to do. And so I wish we had, 20 more people just like that, because if you have somebody that's willing to do that for the sake of the team, then your team's going to be pretty good. On the men's side, we're looking right now, we're trying to make a final decision for Coleman Kramer, whether we want him to go a mile or whether we're going to actually have him go the 100 freestyle on this day. So it's an event that'll kick us off in the afternoon. Traditionally been very strong. We've had some of the fastest milers in the world in the past 5 to 6 years with Akram Mahmoud and Tom Parabonio and Cody Beckemeyer. So those guys set up a distance program for us that is continuing to do a great job. So we're excited about that. That's going to lead us into a couple of other events. 200 backstroke, again, Emily Cornell, this is her best event. She swam the 100 yesterday, and so today this is her wheelhouse. This is her best event coming up, and we're excited to see how fast she can go. Last year she qualified for the NCAA championships, and so that's obviously a goal for her again, and we're going to set out to go do that when we get ready to go on the men's side. Kevin Liu, same thing. He's more of a 200 backstroker than 100, so having that on the last day, he has his best event coming up the entire time, so we're excited about that. The 100 free, we talked earlier in the week about the sprinters. They're all going to be showcased in this 100 freestyle. Lewis Burris, Justin Rose, AJ Ross, Christina Lappin, Edith Lingman, they'll all be in there racing in that event. So we're excited to see them do that. And then the 200 breaststroke, we've just seen the 100 go off, and Itai Goldfaden again, Lionel Koo. Now this is Lionel's one of his best events. So he's better at the 200 than he is the 100. So we're excited about seeing that. Aubrey Higgs, this is her best event. And Taylor Still will also be in that event as well. So they're going to be kind of finishing up the individual events for us, and they're going to take us into the 400 freestyle relay, which will close out the meet. In the past, it's been one of those things where we've had to try to, okay, how do we put together our 4 fastest people at the end of the meet, because we may not have been deep enough with the sprinters. Not anymore. That's not the case. We have our guys, we have our ladies that we know we want in that event, and so we're going to be able to put them up and know that they're going to give us our best performance at the end of the meet and kind of bring this whole meet to a close on a very high note.
Interesting, you're talking about the backstroke for when you're swimming in an unfamiliar pool for a while, even though you guys have been there for 5 days at this point. What are the biggest challenges in the backstroke? Because obviously every other stroke, you're looking ahead, you're looking forward, seeing where you're going, and you're in a different pool and different sight lines. What are the keys in the backstroke?
Well, with the backstroke, obviously you can't see where you're going. And so you have to basically judge everything by what you see above you. So, a lot of people don't think about it, but you're right. The ceiling of the pool, they're all different. And so some of them, I don't know who designs these, but some of them who have curved arches and things like that are just cruel, because when you're watching that and you swim off to the right or the left, but it does take time. And so one of the reasons we go down 3 days ahead of the start time of the meet is for that very reason. We want our divers to get acclimated to the boards and the platforms. We want our swimmers, especially our backstrokers, to get used to the environment. Bulkheads don't go all the way to the bottom of the pool. So a lot of times those sight lines underneath the pool can be very deceiving. If you're looking down, you don't necessarily see that wall coming up. So just little changes like that. But our athletes are to a point now where they know what they have to do. They know how to acclimate to those environments, and they know how to perform at their highest, even in strange places under high pressure situations. So it's going to be fun. We're going to finish strong, and we're going to hopefully finish off with putting even more people at the NCAA championships in these final events as we close out the SEC meet.
When you're at the SEC championships, you guys are there for quite a long time. What are the keys to keeping the student athletes not only fresh because of their competition, but just when they're cheering on their teammates? That's a lot of time and a lot of energy they're expending both in and out of the pool. How do you keep people fresh going into day 5?
Well, you talk to them, and we have a mid-season meet that's only 3 days long. We go down to Georgia Tech for the Georgia Tech Invite, and we always have the conversation on the last day. When we finish the meet, we have the conversation that, okay, think forward. This is only the halfway point of the SEC championship meet. So when we go through that entire 3-day meet, we really have just gotten going at SECs. So we talk to them about that. When we get to SECs, sleep is paramount, nutrition is paramount, recovery. Our athletic trainers are working full time. We have 2 massage therapists that are going around the clock working on our athletes, trying to kind of regenerate their muscles, try to recover their muscles. And we, like I said, our nutritionist methodically puts together a menu for our athletes that will ensure that they get the calories that they need, they stay hydrated, things like that. So it's tough. It's very difficult. It's one of the bigger challenges because, like I said, at the end of a 5-day meet, the coaches are exhausted, and we're not physically having to put out what they are. So we try to judge where they might be based on where we are as coaches, how I feel, and I'll multiply that by about 10 and try to figure out where their bodies are at that point. So it is difficult, but like I said, we spend the entire year preparing for this. Swimming is a grueling endurance-based sport. So if swimming sets them up for anything, it's a lineup like this. It's a 5-day lineup, and so the swimming world loves to watch it because it is different than any other meet. And so we're gonna do our best to put on a show during this time, and hopefully everything comes together from a very large amount of hard work over the past 25 weeks or so. So we'll see, and hopefully hope for the best, I guess.
All right, Coach. Well, good luck in the final day of the SEC championships.
Thank you.
For Coach McGee Moody, I'm Brad Muller.